Freedom. 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 Freedom, freedom, freedom. 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 freedom.
Can you hear me now? Very sorry about that. All right, let me just restart that. We'll pretend this is going super smoothly. So, welcome back to episode 3 of 343 Labs TV with yours truly, Lewis Beck. Last week we discussed... What did we discuss last week? Last week we talked about arrangement. The week before we talked about composition. And this week we're also going to be doing a little bit about more about composition and just production in general. For those of you who weren't here last week or the week before or just tuning in for the first time, this is 343 Labs TV. And what it is it's an extension of the school 343 Labs, which I am an instructor at. And we are a school that is based in New York City. And we also have a strong presence online. We offer courses in all sorts of things music production based. So we have Ableton, Logic, mixing, mastering, songwriting, a vocal production course. And yeah, I think we even got some more. That's all I can remember off the top of my head. Now, as you know, or may not know, is we have a giveaway every single week. Actually 3 giveaways, so 3 lucky winners are going to walk away this week with a 6-month subscription to Splice, which is pretty badass. So I highly encourage you to stick around so that your name could be thrown in the hat. And I'm just trying to get the stream up here, the convo on my phone, the chat, that is. All right, so I should also say, if you have been tuning in but are not subscribed yet to our channel, please do so. We have so much amazing content coming to you every week, and so much more that we're got in store waiting to come. So, without any further ado, let's jump into the track that we were working on and today's topic or episode. So just give me a second because I'm having trouble seeing the chat. I want to make sure that I can have that set up so that I can address all your guys' questions. All right, cool. There we go. So last week, as I mentioned, what we did was we took a little idea that I had written and composed, and we started trying to arrange it out into a full song. So what we're going to do today real quick is we're going to finish the arrangement. And then what we're going to do is we're going to focus on how to use effects to kind of help your arrangement and increase the quality of your production. And we're also going to kind of start focusing a little bit more on the production side of things in general. So, I'm going to be honest, we might not arrange this out into a full 5-minute long track just for the sake of time. So I do want to be able to spend a bunch of time focusing on production stuff. So let's just listen to what we got, though, first of all. Okay, cool. So we get the idea. So what I'm going to look to do is, well, I'm going to actually, I don't know if we have time to do this, but what I would try to do is actually find like a cool vocal sample or something to put in this area. If anyone has an idea for a vocal sample or something, or just some like weird speech part that I could drag in there, drop it into the chat while I'm thinking of one. And if you beat me to it, I'll try to get that going. So let me see. I might hop into my iTunes actually and see if there's some sort of sample that I can find. Believe it or not, I still actually have iTunes and still use it. So I'm just gonna have a peek around in here real quick. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play the song on a loop, so I can have the kind of the key signature in my head and see if I can like use my DJ skills, which I haven't used in a very long time, to identify a similar key signature in a sample. So let me think. Oh, I might actually have something. Ah, yes. Okay. So I have this vocal sample sitting around actually. It's one of my favorite ones ever. So this is a really weird sample. It's a cool interview actually. It's an interview of Jim Morrison, who was the lead singer for The Doors, predicting the future of music, where he actually in like the late 60s starts talking about they ask him a question about what does he think the future of music's going to be, and he says he thinks it's going to be someone using like a machine on their own or something like that, and he kind of alludes to electronic music. So let's actually listen to this. I'm going to try to cut out a little phrase that I can use.
I was talking about that this weekend, thinking a lot about it. I think the two basic types of music indigenous to this country are the black music, blues, and the kind of folk music.
So what I'm doing now is I'm just listening to see if there's some part that I want to use. So I'm going to cut out the stuff that I don't need.
West Virginia, high and lonesome sound. That those are the two main streams of root American music. There might be others, I don't know. But it looks like, and like 10 years ago, what they called rock and roll was kind of a blending of those two forms. And I guess what's happening now is that rock is kind of dying out, and everyone is going back to the roots again. Some are going back into country, and some are going back into basic blues. I guess in 4 or 5 years, the new generation's music will be, it'll have...
Here we go.
A synthesis of those two elements and some third thing that'll be entire. Maybe it'll be, it might rely heavily on electronics, tapes. I can kind of envision maybe one person with a lot of machines, tapes, and electronic setups, singing or speaking and using machines. We used to think...
Yeah, so there you go. So there's him basically predicting the future of electronic music.
And using machines.
So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of use this loop or this little... excuse me. I'm going to use this sample here to try to kind of spice it up and make it a little more interesting. So first I'm going to do is just drag it in here and see what's going on. Thank you, Andrew Duke. I agree. I don't like to sample other artists' music unless there's a really, really specific reason to.
A synthesis of those two elements and some third thing that'll be entire. Maybe it'll be, it might rely heavily on electronics, tapes. I can kind of envision maybe one person with a lot of machines, tapes, and electronic setups, singing or speaking and using machines.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to kind of make this sample fit into this space. So in my brain, I've decided that this is going to be a breakdown, and then we're going to have a drop back over here. So what I'll just do is, first of all, drag that drop spot to right there. Okay, so let's see what we got going on.
The new generation's music will be, it'll have a synthesis of those two elements and some third thing. The new generation's music.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to also make it sound like Jim Morrison wasn't kind of drunk and stuttering, which is probably what he was if you know anything about him. So I'm going to start shifting and cutting out the kind of the fat. I'm going to make my own version of the vocal.
The new generation's music, a synthesis of those two elements and some third thing. The new generation's music will be synthesis of those two elements and some third thing. It'll be entire. Maybe it'll be the new generation's music will be synthesis of those.
So let's see.
Music will be a synthesis of those two elements and some third thing. It'll be entire. Maybe it'll be. It might rely heavily on.
So we're going to make him sound very eloquent.
Some third thing. It might rely heavily on electronics, tapes. I can kind of envision maybe one person with a lot of machines, tapes, and electronic setups, singing or speaking and using machines.
That's perfect. So there's this weird thing that happens with sampling. Anyone who is familiar with sampling might be familiar with this phenomenon, but like once you start editing it, it sort of just works by accident sometimes. So like that's perfect. That fits exactly where I need it to fit. So now all I need to do is make it fit in physically a little bit more with the music. So I'm gonna try to clean this up.
The new generation's music will be a synthesis of those two elements and some third thing. It might rely heavily on electronics, tapes.
So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use this noise suppressor plugin from Waves, and we're going to see if this can help me get out some of that background noise.
The new generation's music will be a synthesis of those two elements and some third thing. It might rely heavily on
so that's without
electronics, tapes. I can kind of envision maybe one person with a lot of machines, tapes, and electronics.
So that works really, really well. That's amazing. So this is actually designed not for music. This is designed for post-production in video and film. And so this is what you use to like try to, get a lot of loud noise out when there's like background chatter or something for dialogue in a movie. So this actually has worked out pretty nicely. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to probably use a little bit of reverb on it.
The new generation's music will be a synthesis of those two elements and some third thing. It might rely heavily on electronics, tapes. I can kind of envision maybe one person with a lot of machines, tapes, and electronic setups.
I'm also going to drag on a de-esser just because it's extremely low quality audio from YouTube, and so the S's are going to be extra sibilant, so I'm going to try to just grab
the new generation's music will be a synthesis of those two elements and some third thing. It might rely heavily on electronics, tapes. I can kind of envision maybe one person.
So So this is not the most ideal one. I'm going to go and reach into Fab Filters de-esser because I like that one more. It just takes slightly longer to dial in.
The new generation's music would be a synthesis of those two elements and some third thing. It might rely heavily on electronics, tapes. I can kind of envision maybe one person with a lot of machines, tape.
All right, so one thing I'm going to do is, Paul, to answer your question, no. Live does not have anything to reduce the noise floor, reduce background noise, other than like a gate, but that's not really actually reducing it. That's just, assuming that the noise will be lower than the volume of the vocal, but in this case, it's not really true. So you need something like NS1 from Waves or RX7 from Isotope, which in my opinion is actually better, but also it would make the entire stream crash probably if we used it because it's really high CPU. So I'm going to avoid doing that.
The new generations.
Okay, so one thing to keep in mind in house music is we talked about this guy last time, right? This hi-hat that allows us to kind of propel the beat forward, right when it comes in. So one thing to do, very basic, is to just reduce just remove the hi-hat to lower energy, and that'll just make the transition feel smooth.
The new generation's music would be a synthesis.
So what I'm also going to do is I'm going to create a, just to save some time. Oh no, I don't have my samples. That's okay. So just to save some time, I'm going to see if I can add some sort of crash. Yeah, that works. Some little crash symbol just for a transition. It's probably not going to sound beautiful, but for now, it'll be a placeholder.
The new generation's music
That actually works.
would be a synthesis. The new generation's music would be a synthesis of those two elements and some third thing.
So what I'm also going to do now is I'm going to take the auto filter and I'm going to high pass filter the bass for this part. Let's put it to 150. That's usually a nice number. So that we can keep the bass energy, or rather the bass feeling in, but take out the bass energy. So all I'm going to do is just automate it on and off. So I'll turn it off respectively in either these drop areas. So this is good for me. This is useful because what it allows me to do is I can just, high pass the filter, the bass whenever I feel ready. I'm sorry if I'm not engaging with the chat as much as I could. I'm having trouble on my phone having it like reload and keep things in it. So I'm sorry if I'm not getting all your questions. Hopefully, though, this is still being helpful and informative.
The new generation's music would be a synthesis of those two elements and some third thing. It might rely heavily on electronics, tapes. I can kind of envision maybe one person with a lot of machines, tapes, electronic setups.
All right, so
it might rely.
Let's see if we want to actually bring this hi-hat back in. First, I'm going to turn this off.
Tapes. I can kind of envision maybe
yeah, I like
one
that.
person with a lot of machines, tapes, electronic setups.
So what I'm going to do now is a little trick. where I'm going to take out the clap. And it's kind of make the beat feel like it's suspended. Sorry, Chroma Beats. Yeah, I'm not able to see them, to be perfectly honest.
The new generation's music would be a synthesis of those two elements and some third thing. It might rely heavily on electronics, tapes.
So what I might now do with this groove is
maybe one person
is I'm gonna take the beat and throw it into some reverb just for this part to kind of make it feel bigger and to create tension. Yeah, and sorry once again, guys, that I can't be a little bit more engaging in the chat. I'm just, for whatever reason, I can't fully see. They don't stay in the chat.
I rely heavily on electronics, tapes. I can kind of envision maybe one person with a lot of machines, tapes, electronic setups.
So see, we pull away the
singing.
We pull away the clap, and it kind of builds tension. So it's like, oh, we paused.
Maybe
Yo, what's good, Nefertiti?
one person with a lot of machines, tapes, electronic setups, singing or speaking and using machines.
Yeah, so what we're gonna do is at that moment have it kind of a pause.
Maybe one person with a lot of machines, tapes, electronic setups, singing or speaking and using machines.
I'm not really sure what you mean by what would be a TA test to learn the studio. Making music is only as difficult as you make it. It's either you either have a understanding of it, or you don't. So you just need to keep learning. Ableton is not any easier or any more difficult than any of the other DAWs. That's just my my thoughts on that, to be perfectly honest. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to open up a clip envelope in here, and where is that pitch? First of all, pitch bend range. Let me make sure this is what do we got going on. Where are you, man? I don't really use this synth in my actual production that often, so I apologize if I'm not as fluid as I could be in it. But it looks like, okay, it's at 100%, that's fine. So all I'm gonna do is MIDI control pitch bend, beautiful. So what I wanna do is a little bend right before the drop.
One person with a lot of machines, tapes, electronic setups.
Oh man, all right, let's see what happens here.
Singing or speaking and using machines.
All right, so I want it to bend a lot more.
Speaking and using machines.
That's a little weak. So instead of trying to figure out why that's so weak, what I'm just gonna do is I'm gonna freeze. Yes, sir, Chris Portanova. Good to see you. Just a high octave string. And I'm gonna flatten this. So what this will now allow me to do is come in here and just transpose it down, which will allow me to create the illusion of a bend. It won't be the illusion, it will be a bend. So transpose knob. Let's see. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna go down 48, which is 4 octaves.
A lot of machines, tapes, electronics, maybe one.
Oh, that's so frustrating. Wow, okay. I'm gonna have to get these guys back because the pitch bending that I did threw it off somehow in the flatten. So let me just make sure these are correct. Why freeze? Okay, yeah, so
Maybe
the reason I'm freezing is because I want to do a pitch bend. And the way that the synthesizer was programmed is that I was just having trouble getting it to bend as aggressively as I wanted it to, so I'm just going to do it in here because it's much easier.
maybe one person with a lot of machines, tapes.
Let's see how this works out.
Singing or speaking and using machines.
That sounds terrible, but also kind of interesting. I'm going to put it on complex mode.
Speaking and using machines.
Okay, I dig that. That's what I was going for. So this is now going to be our next drop.
Some third thing, it might rely heavily on electronics, tapes. I can kind of envision maybe
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the return track for the delay to increase the delay on this sample so that it kind of builds more and more tension.
electronics, tapes. I can kind of envision maybe one person with a lot of machines, tapes, electronic setups, singing or speaking and using machines.
I like that.
One person with a lot of machines, tapes, electronic setups, singing or speaking and using machines.
All right, so I'm going to take this bass now, and instead of just filtering it out with the high pass completely, what I'll do is I'll take the utility and I'll just reduce the gain. By the way, if you ask a question in the stream and I don't answer it, just lob it in again, because like I said, it's I'm having a hard time continuously refreshing it. For some reason, my phone's just bugging out. All right, so I will reduce this. If we put it down to 12, 13 decibels, it should just disappear.
Tapes, electronic setups, singing or speaking and using machines.
So one thing I want to do is to emphasize the idea of like machines and electronics is I'm going to take these little chord stabs.
Speaking and using machines.
That's a cool question, Paul. You should ask. Yeah, Max will answer that for you. But you should know that we do workshops online, so I'd highly encourage you to take one of those. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop the delay time, or delay send, so it's just that, and I'm gonna throw on the redux, right, which is a bit crusher. And I'm gonna downsample that so that it like becomes more computer sounding and like a machine.
Using machines.
That's way too much.
Machines.
That's still too much. So maybe what I'll just do is a very small amount. I'll just go like 11. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I like that.
Machines, tapes, electronic setups, singing or speaking and using machines.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a couple of little percussive elements to kind of make the groove feel like it's even more open. So first I'm going to look for a ride sample. Actually, this one might work, even though it's really weak. I might just turn this up a lot. Oh, nope, that's transposition. Ooh, hello. So let's see. All right, so I'm just gonna drop this in here. So let's see how that fits first, just for feel. And this is subtle. I don't really want people to notice this too much. It just slowly increases the feel.
Machines.
So that's a little bit too much drag. What I mean by too much drag is like it sustains the rhythmic moment for too long. So let me see what it feels like if I do this instead. And I'm adding that little fade, right, just so that things don't completely die. Thank you very much, Paul Gomez. I am definitely going for the deep house vibes. I am partial to them. Okay, so that's a little bit ridiculous. That's like, yeah, I don't like that. So let's see. Okay, it seems like that's going to be the one I want. Thank you, Chris Portanova. I love showing you tricks, dude. I hope your music is going well. You send me some stuff, man. Miss hearing from you. All right.
Machines.
I don't love that. I don't know. Something about that. I don't think it's the sound itself. It's just the release characteristic. So I'm going to try to like play with these fades a little bit more. I don't want to waste too much time. So worst comes to worst, I'll just do the handy dandy 909 ride. But let me just fiddle around with this for a few more seconds if you guys can bear with me. Yeah, I've been stuck in the house too long is right, Max. Don't love it, but I think I'll make it work. I'm also going to mono it out. I don't want it to be out wide. I have other plans for the stereo field with this track. So this guy out there hit the mono button. Now he's down the middle. Yeah, sorry, Chrome Beats. I know you're asking a lot of questions. Keep them coming. If I don't answer it, just ask it again. All right, so I'm going to throw an echo on here. This is actually all it's going to do is to try to like chuff up a little bit of the delay. Did you miss any boots and cats? Alright, that's not working at all. Let's try some reverb. Okay, that's closer to what I'm looking for. I'm going to throw a phaser on there. Alright, so that should work. Let's see.
Singing or speaking and using machines.
Alright, that works for me. so what I'm gonna do now is I'm actually gonna kind of jump around the track a little bit and start trying to pepper in little bits of like chops with the vocal. So I'm gonna take that word machines.
Using machines. Using machines. Singing or speaking and using machines. Tapes and electronic setups.
So I might do this. Let's see.
A lot of machines, tapes, and electronic setups.
So it's gonna be a very music production nerdy kind of moment. I'm gonna create a new track that's just for these little chops, and that way I don't have to do constant automation to jump back and forth between things. Sorry, my phone keeps closing on the stream. Trying to find the chat. Keeps closing on the chat. I'm sorry. It's not my fault. All right.
Setups. Singing or speaking and using machines.
Oh, I like that you mentioned slapback delay, Chris. You know I love that.
A lot of machines, tapes, and electronic setups.
So I'm going to do tapes and electronic setups. That's going to be my music nerd moment.
Tapes and electronic setups. Tapes and electronic setups.
So what I'll do is I will reduce. Get out of here. I'm going to reduce this return altogether. And I'm going to kind of create a custom feeling for this.
Tapes and electronic setups. Tapes and electronic setups.
Tapes. So I want it to go tapes. And so I know that's going to be the eighth note on the hi-hat. So it was tapes. Yeah, the vocal is from Jim Morrison, Max. It's an interview with Jim Morrison talking about the future of music.
Tapes and electronic setups.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to warp this, which is the most fun thing you could possibly do in Ableton. So let me see.
Tapes and electronic setups.
So this is going to be an interesting little one. I'm going to try to shove all this stuff way quicker. So
Tapes and electronic. Tapes and electronic setups. Tapes and electronic setups.
let's see.
Tapes and electronic setups. Tapes and electronic setups.
It's actually kind of like trippy and weird because that's what this is anyway. So I can live with that.
Tapes and electronic setups.
Maybe I'll like do some kind of like Fisher Spooner thing where I'll just not have the whole phrase. I'll just go tapes, electronic setups.
Tapes. Tapes and electronic setup. Tape and electronic setups. Tapes and electronic setups.
All right, so let's see if I can fade that.
Tapes and electronic setups.
It's actually kind of cool.
Tapes and electronic setup. An electronic setup. Tapes and electronic setups.
All right, let's see what this feels like.
Tapes and electronic setup.
All right.
Tapes and electronic setups.
Tapes, electronic setup. So tapes, okay, so I want the electronic to start right on there.
Tapes and electronic setups.
All right, that's cool, except I just want the S, electronic setups, to be sooner. So I'll just drop that here. From an interview he did in Miami, TV show 1969. Correct, Andrew Duke. You win.
Electronic setups.
Cool. All right. Finally got this.
Tapes and electronic setups.
gonna put these out wide, actually, also.
Tapes, electronic setups.
I think that'll be kind of cool. So if you guys don't remember from last time, or you might remember from last time, we did the Haas effect, right? Which is where you take the Ableton delay, you turn it into time mode, and then just turn both of them to 1 and then delay one side.
Tapes, electronic setups.
So now his voice is super big and cool. And we're gonna throw it with delay now.
Tapes, electronic setups.
And maybe what I'll also do, just to make things weird and interesting, is throw on the auto filter, and I'm gonna put a little bit of tapes electronic. Maybe I'll do a quarter note delay. Let's try a 3/16 note delay. That actually could be kind of interesting. And I'm gonna just do a little bit of LFO action.
Tapes, electronic setups.
Yeah, that's fun. Okay. So what I have now is this.
Tapes, electronic setups.
So it's just a little subtle bit of filtering, right? That's going to sound really cool in going into the delay.
Tapes, electronic setups.
Woo! I like that a lot.
Tapes, electronic setups. Tapes, electronic setups.
Okay, so then I'm going to drag this guy over again, this high string. Drag these over here.
Tapes, electronic setups.
Now what I might do is
Tapes, electronic setups. Tapes, electronic setups.
I'm going to filter the kicks again. I'm going to keep it going.
Tapes, electronic setups.
Probably going to have to reduce this in volume significantly. Going to just eye it out.
Tapes, electronic setups.
Okay. And then I'll go.
Machines, tapes, and electronic setups. A lot of machines tape singing or speaking and using machines.
Okay, I have this whole vision in my head now for how I want this track to go. So I'm going to try to execute that quickly while we still have time.
Tapes, electronic setups. Tapes, electronic setups.
Let's see this.
Singing or speaking and tapes, electronic setups.
That's what I'm going to do.
Singing or speaking and tapes, electronic setups.
So I'm going to slightly alter the period in time where this is happening.
Singing or speaking and
Let's see this.
singing or speaking and tapes, electronic setups. Singing or speaking and tapes, electronic setups. Singing or speaking and tapes, electronic setups.
Yep, and then we'll jump right back into we'll just go into pure bass and kick, which is fun. Let's try that, see what happens.
Singing or speaking and
Yeah, that works. And we have that little pause.
Speaking in the speaking in the tapes of all drive setups. Singing or speaking in the tapes of all drive setups. You're speaking in the tapes of all drive setups. Singing or speaking in the tapes of all drive setups.
And I just want to have that bop, 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 be like a little thing. Thank you for noticing that, Regine. Yeah. So now I'll have the chords fly into tons of reverb.
All drive setups.
Yes. Okay. My master plan is coming into fruition.
Speaking in the tapes of all drive setups. Singing or speaking in the
So in this part now, I'm going to increase the reverb to
singing or speaking in the tapes of all drive setups.
I'm also going to
Singing.
increase the filtering so it actually sounds like the same vocal talking to it back and forth.
Singing or speaking in the
I'm also going to increase the delay. We're just going to increase everything. Basically, just make it as soupy and psychedelic as possible. Because I love that kind of stuff.
singing or speaking in the tapes of all drive setups. Singing or speaking in the tapes of all drive setups.
So as opposed to adding more things right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a little bit of a modulation happy time. And so I'm going to show you that this song secretly is acid house, which is like my favorite thing in the world when it comes to dance music. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to route two knobs. Just gotta turn on my MIDI controller. Okay, cool. So MIDI, let's start with frequency. Let's start with that guy. Nope, nothing's doing. Okay, that's fine. I'm just gonna do it with my hands then. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm first going to take control of the cutoff. Okay, and I hate everything that I just did. So, hit delete. And I also have to hit record anyway. That's right, TWD Industries. Get ready, it's about to happen. Here we go. And so I'm just going to keep it going. Pretend like nothing had stopped. Now I'm going to play with the resonance knob to make that stuff more exciting. Can you tell I'm having fun? The LFO had been, I don't know how you missed that. It was there though. Anyway, so this is what we call acid house. This is the best. This is so much fun. So now we're really having fun, man. Now we're making a tune. And I'm gonna do a do-do-do. So I'm gonna do a little boop 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 on the kick. Oh no. So I'm gonna have it go like that and like that. And so let's see what that feels like. Throw this guy in here, singing or speaking in. So is that the end of my happy time? Oh, I guess it was. Okay.
Singing or speaking.
Maybe I'll just add one of these lower guys back here. I'll just go in reverse. Whoa, what happened? Come on. There we go. Let's try this. Oh, actually, I want to keep the resonance high. So now this is going to be random. This will be fun. This is one thing you can't do with an analog synth. I mean, you could. It's just, I don't see why you would use it this way. So then you take the frequency. That's what I wanted to do. Okay. Yeah, see, I want to lower these bad boys. Ah, stop it. All right. All right, there we go. Yeah, that's probably enough for a track. That's pretty sick. I'm digging that. Yo, that's what's up, Becky Locke. I'm glad you're dancing. That's what this is, after all, dance music. So one final thing to just bring total chaos to this track is I'm going to increase the release time for the bass. So come on, release. Okay, there we go. So for this last part, just to have it swell like a maniac.
Singing and speaking and tapes and sounds. Singing and
Yeah, exactly, Tristan. I love to add randomness to my work.
tapes and sounds.
Quick way to escape from a house track is just get rid of the clap. It's like we are no longer here. All right, so there you go. That's the full composition. Definitely not perfect yet, but what I do want to do real quick before we do these giveaways, which I'm almost ready for, so Thomas, send those over. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some of these vocal samples so they're not completely random and bring them to the middle of the track, start of the track rather. So I'm going to do that tapes, and so here.
Tapes and electronic sounds.
I'll probably increase the reverb on both of these.
Tapes and electronic sounds.
Now maybe I won't have them. I will. I'll keep them wide.
Tapes and electronic sounds.
Now these chords are having a little bit of trouble punching through all the craziness that I just created. So some of you are gonna laugh at me, but I'm gonna use a super old school plugin, well, old school at this point, called the Sausage Fattener. You should help it. And I want these drums to pop like really hard, so I'm just for now I'm gonna drag this on here too. That doesn't sound good on the kick drum. Okay. Let's see. All right, we're about out of time here, but I do want to give you guys, I know we had to cut it short last week because we had a little bit of trouble, so I'm not opposed to sticking around for a few more minutes today. And I just want to get this intro sorted out too, because, you know, I'm also hyper obsessive.
So those two elements and some third thing, it might rely heavily on electronics, tapes, and maybe one person's the new generation's music would be a synthesis of those two elements and some third thing. It might rely.
I'm gonna move this over here.
The new generation's music would be a synthesis of those two elements and some third thing. It might rely heavily on electronics, tapes. I can kind of envision. The new.
And I'm just gonna take the word machines from this drop and drag these over. Come on, I know you want to be a cool guy. Okay.
The new generation's music will be a synthesis of those two elements and some third thing. It might rely heavily on electronics, tape using machines.
Let's try this.
Some third thing. It might rely heavily on electronics, tape using machines. Electronics, tapes using machines. Electronics, tapes using machines.
All right, so I'd say for today that was a pretty successful outing. And so what we accomplished was we pretty much got this entire arrangement down. And what we'll do next time is we're going to focus on mixing and production, which you might think are two separate things. But when it comes to making your own music, there really isn't that big of a difference. What I am going to do is show you some little tricks that I use and some suggestions that I have to get like a really punchy, big, powerful mix for your track. This is already sounding pretty decent, but it can definitely there's actually a significant amount of room for improvement, especially with the drums and stuff like that. So without any further ado, let's talk winners. So we got 3 winners for a 6-month Splice subscription each. First winner is Paul Gomez. Congratulations. Second winner is Regine Seiler. Congratulations. And the third winner is Matteo Rossi. Again, that's Paul Gomez, Regine Seiler, and Matteo Rossi. And I apologize if I mispronounced any of your names. It seems like I might have done it decently, though. All right. So, yet again, thank you for joining us for 343 TV and for this third episode of Stuck in the House Wednesdays with me, Lewis Beck. My next show is going to be next Wednesday, and I believe that is going to be the final show, so I'm sorry, but that's also why we are going to do the mix down for the track, so you can kind of get the, stage by stage how to finish a track vibe. Now, I have a vocal production course coming up that is starting on June 23rd. And this is a really cool course. I've taught it 3 times at this point. I actually designed it myself in association after a lot of conversations with Max and a lot of feedback from students saying that they wanted, more in-depth coverage of how to produce vocals because it's really hard. So I highly recommend if you have any interest in that and feel comfortable otherwise as a producer, but just feel like, there's that you really struggle with vocals and you're interested in including it in your music, I highly recommend that you join that class. Thank you, Becky Locke. I see you said thank you, great session. The fact that you were dancing makes me like you, so I appreciate that. And again, please subscribe to our channel if you dug the content. Right? We have so much more of it. Our other instructors are also amazing. Earlier this week, we had Claire Lim and we had techno legend John Selway. They were doing some really cool stuff on there. I, of course, am also on there. And so if you're enjoying the content, there's so much more. We have tutorial videos from all the instructors. And, if you have missed some of the other live streams, you weren't able to tune in, I have a house music tutorial on YouTube as well on our channel. So, again, 343 Labs. Follow us. All right, so that brings this session to a close. And again, today what we did was we kind of finished an arrangement and we focused on using production techniques to help us push the arrangement forward. And so what we're going to do next time is we're going to really polish off the production. We're going to tighten up the arrangement in any way that it needs to be, but it should feel pretty done by now. And we're going to really focus on mixing. Now, I'm not going to be able to teach you everything that you need to know about, mixing in 1 hour. but you'll definitely pick up some tricks, and I'm going to throw in some pretty advanced secrets. I'm not going to lie. So this is not just going to be like, here's how you EQ, here's how you compress. I'm going to show you some really weird, funky tricks. So I highly recommend tuning in. Anyway, this has been awesome, and I've enjoyed interfacing with you guys to the extent that I've been able to. I know that I was having a little bit of trouble with the chat, so I apologize if I wasn't able to get you guys, to answer some more of your questions, but I hope this was informational and educational nonetheless. So with that being said, it is time for me to sign off, and I'll see y'all next week. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Freedom. 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 Freedom.